Raider Nation, it's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. Literally just getting off my flight right now from my cousin's wedding, and I got a lot of Raiders news that I have to discuss. We're going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo and Nate Hobbs because neither of those two players will be going up against the Los Angeles Chargers, despite the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo was able to practice on Thursday and Friday, albeit in a limited fashion. He was unable to pass essentially the concussion protocol. Not having Nate Hobbs is going to be a major loss this upcoming week. Like, we cannot realize how big of a loss that is going to be, because that was going to be the player I was hoping was going to be matched up against Keenan Allen. So the fact that you're not going to have Jimmy G and Nate Hobbs, no doubt about it, it's going to hurt, which leaves a lot of other questions up there. But we're also going to talk about, is it going to be Aidan O'Connell or is it going to be Brian Hoyer that ends up being the starting quarterback? We will, at the end of the video, talk about Chandler Jones, and we'll also talk about all the moves that the Raiders had to do today because they decided to release Chandler Jones. But, I mean, the news, there's a lot of different stories that I'm going to talk about here on today's show. But to me, I'm going to keep this football related, and I'm going to keep my entire mindset of this entire show on the fact that the Raiders starting quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, is not going to be able to play. So, yeah, I think a lot of Raider fans out there would say, well, we anticipated that he would end up missing games, not for a head injury, and there's going to be clowns out there that say that, but head injuries, man, are totally different. But now the question begs, does Josh McDaniels do the smart thing? Pause, right? Like, I don't know if he's ever going to done that. Is he going to do the smart thing, and is he going to play the rookie out of Purdue, Aidan O'Connell, or will he do what I'm scared he's going to do and play Brian Hoyer, the 15-year veteran who's been in the NFL since 2009? If the Raiders are actually trying to win a football game and they're actually trying to go out there and do their thing, you play Aidan O'Connell, and it's not even close. The rookie during the preseason, 26 of 36, 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, had a quarterback rating of 122.8, compared to Brian Hoyer, who in the preseason looked awful. I mean, he looked downright terrible. Let's just keep it a buck here, right? And then on top of that with Aidan, you know that Brian Hoyer's never going to be your future, right? We all get that, okay? You know that Brian Hoyer's never going to be your future. Aidan O'Connell has a shot, and Raider fans deserve better. And if McDaniels, Mark Davis, Ziegler, if they make the decision to not play O'Connell and they decide to roll with Brian Hoyer, I'm telling y'all right now, I have never wanted to say this, but I'll believe then that this team is not trying to win football games and that they are trying to tank. And I would tell Raider fans, be smart with your money, because if this organization's not going to go out and try to win football games, you shouldn't even try to go watch the games. If you want to go hang out with Raider fans at tailgates, like still travel to Las Vegas for blackout parties and stuff like that, hell yeah. But in terms of actually going into that stadium, they wouldn't get a single dollar from me. That I can promise you. So if you want Aidan O'Connell to start tomorrow against the Los Angeles Chargers, I want y'all to spam AOC, which I know some of y'all don't like spamming AOC, so how about this? Spam those 4s down below. I want to see how many people want Aidan O'Connell to start, because I guarantee you this. It's 99% of the people that click on this video. The 1% might be a loser Charger fan that stumbles into this, or it might be Jimmy Garoppolo himself who says, you know, I still want to go out there and I want to go out there and compete. It needs to be Aidan O'Connell. It needs to be him, not only for this season, because you have to see what you have in him, but if you get the fact that, all right, this kid's not the quarterback, you got to look at next year's draft class, which is absolutely stacked with a Caleb Williams, a Drake May, a Quinn Ewers, a Penix from Washington. There's a lot of very, very talented quarterbacks in next year's class. See what you have in Aidan O'Connell. And honestly, I think at this point, your offense is going to be better with AOC because of how bad Jimmy Garoppolo's arm is and how bad this offense has looked. Because as bad as what Jimmy G has been, teams stack the box, they take away from Josh Jacobs. The fact that you're going to have a different QB out there this upcoming game, no matter who it is, like Brian Hoyer can throw a football further than Jimmy Garoppolo, but Aidan O'Connell is the better overall QB. Because you're going to have a different QB, I guarantee you this is going to be the Raiders' best rushing attack, which I get it. It's not saying much. You're dead last in the NFL right now with 61.7 rushing yards per game, but it's going to be light years better because teams have to play you now with you having the ability to go over 20 yards. So the news here is this. Jimmy Garoppolo did not pass concussion protocol. he will not be playing on Sunday against the Chargers. Nate Hobbs, the Raiders' best corner, also will not be playing. So I'm very curious to see what type of matchup ends up going down on Keenan Allen. Another player that did not travel with the team was Brandon Bolden, running back, but I can already tell that y'all probably don't care about that one all that much. The big story, though, is no Jimmy G. They better go with Aidan O'Connell over Brian Hoyer. Now, I really appreciate everyone that takes time out of their day to watch our videos. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. Sorry I couldn't get you guys a video a little bit earlier, but I was literally in the air. I turned on my Wi-Fi, and I was like, oh, crap, Chandler Jones just got released. But I got a commitment to excellence here. I can't guarantee that the Raiders are going to win football games, but you will not find another individual that works harder and loves the nation more than what I do. Y'all are my family, and I got a lot of beautiful, congratulations to the family. For those that don't know, over the weekend, flew all the way up to Fargo, North Dakota. My cousin Anthony, who's the exact same age as me, we were on all the basketball teams, baseball teams, soccer teams growing up. He ended up getting married to the love of his life. Beautiful, beautiful wedding. But just being able to hang out with the family, man, you can't beat anything besides family time. And I appreciate all y'all that are like, you know what, Mitch, I understand that you had to do your thing. And I seriously, I appreciate it. But also know that tomorrow, Jeremy Chuggs and I, we're blowing the roof off the Raiders report. I don't know if the Raiders are going to be good in that game, but that tailgate party, I'm telling you all right now, we're blowing the roof off it. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're there, because that might be the most fun we have all night. All right, now let's talk about the Chandler Jones news here. This is a sad one, right? And I'm going to spin this as... I'm going to look at it from the way I look at the whole Chandler Jones situation. I look at it from a Raiders standpoint, and then I look at it from a human being standpoint. From the human being standpoint, it's sad. To see somebody who is a phenomenal athlete, to see somebody who's actually been spoken very highly from a lot of other past NFL players, from players on this current Raiders team. I mean, Chandler Jones was one of the leaders of that team last season. They signed him to the 3-year, $54 million contract, whatever it was. Sure, they had to restructure it this year, but it's a sad, sad situation with what Chandler Jones is dealing with. And if you've watched this show, you'll know that this has been going on way before they put him on the NFI list. This is going on way before Labor Day weekend. I mean, you're looking at a situation that's been rolling on, I'm going to say, almost the entire offseason. The Raiders tried to figure it out, didn't get out to the public, and then as you saw the Chandler Jones snowball, it was a sad, sad thing. There's no doubt about it. I reached out to Chandler. He followed me on Twitter. Then he unfollowed me. Then he followed me again. And then he unfollowed me. I tried to reach out to him and said, hey, man, if you want to talk, let's try to talk, because I think, that's what Chandler Jones needs right now, is somebody in his corner and somebody that needs to go out there and help him. I don't think it can be somebody that he doesn't know, that he doesn't trust. I mean, it's got to be a family member. It's got to be one of his best friends. I don't know who's in that corner for Chandler, but you got to do his thing, man, and you got to reach out to your friend before somebody gets hurt, himself or somebody else. It's a scary situation. On the other side of that, because the Raiders did have to move on from Chandler Jones, which I've said for a long time was the thing that this organization should do, the thing that this organization was going to do. And the contract details, everyone's already asked me, Mitch, are they going to have to pay Chandler Jones? I'm going to say no. With the amount of stuff that Chandler has put out there on social media, I get some of the stuff he said he was hacked, but with the videos and all that, I mean, that's about as easy as conduct detrimental to the team as it gets. The only question mark I'll have is if Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler try to do right by their guy, because Chandler is a player that they knew before he was even in college football, and maybe they decide to give him some money still, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like I know what the Raiders are going to do with that contract, but from what I understand from conduct detrimental to the team, it's just like the Antonio Brown thing. They're going to be able to void the deal. They're going to be able to get out of all the money that they already owe him for the next 2 years, and then even the void years, from my understanding, is they're going to be able to get out of that as well. The Chandler Jones situation sucks. A player that was supposed to help Max Crosby, a player that was supposed to help transform this defense, and I'm not going to say it was a failed move by McDaniels and Ziegler, because nobody could have predicted that Chandler was going to be dealing with this. But at the end of the day, McDaniels and Ziegler were brought in to bring in their guys, and one of their guys was Chandler Jones, and unfortunately, he was unable to step up to the plate. So with Chandler Jones no longer a member here of this Las Vegas Raiders team, the Raiders did some moving around of the roster also when I was up in the air. They have signed linebacker Kana'i Mauga to the active roster. Mauga has been a linebacker that has been on this team for the past 2 seasons, mainly on the practice squad. So they probably just brought him back just because he has some more familiarity with the defense and whatnot. They also placed, this is basically the bigger reason why they did it, they placed linebacker Curtis Bolton on the reserve injured list. He's been battling injury now for a few weeks, which really sucks because, you know, he worked his freaking ass off to try to get on this team and unfortunately was unable to do it. And then also ended up releasing Chandler Jones. Additionally, the Raiders activated Tyler Hall, which I'm excited to see what Tyler Hall looks like. He was a player that I thought could potentially start, and he's going to get a tough matchup. If I'm thinking the way that I am right now, I think Tyler Hall is going to end up getting that start at the slot, and he's going to end up getting matched up a little bit here with Keenan Allen, because in terms of slot corners, who's their best guy? You might see a rotation between Malik, Tyler Hall trying to replace Nate Hobbs for this upcoming game, but Jacorian and Marcus, they're on the outside. So, and you know, Keenan Allen, he feasts on the inside, so somebody needs to step up. And then linebacker Malik Reed also activated from the practice squad. When the Raiders signed Malik Reed, which would have been, on Wednesday, I said that I'd be shocked if he wasn't on the active roster. That, honestly, is probably the more of the Chandler Jones replacement. If you don't know who Malik Reed is, 59 games played, I want to say. He's a pretty good player. I made a video on it. He's had some better years being able to get after the quarterback. His first 3 years were with the Denver Broncos, 8 sacks in 2020. Like, the easiest comparison I can make, it's an okay one, I think that makes sense to Raider fans, is like Malcolm Kuntz is a good outside linebacker that can get after the quarterback. Malik Reed is an outside linebacker that's built more to stop the run, but also has the ability to be able to get after the quarterback. So that's all the Raiders news that I got for y'all today. Chugs and I will be back tomorrow. I just got home. Like I said, Chuck was freaking out, and he was like, bro, you're leaving me already? So I made this video here, and one more time we'll go through all the recap, and I'll see if I get any other updates. So essentially, this is it. It is Jimmy Garoppolo out, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo is out. Nate Hobbs also out. And Hondo Carpenter is saying that I would be shocked if Brian Hoyer is not the starter. Hondo's usually pretty well tied in, and you know the smart thing to do is to play Aidan O'Connell. The dumb thing to do is to start Brian Hoyer. So that makes me a little bit nervous. Chandler Jones is no longer a member of this team. We'll see if they decide to go with Aidan or Brian tomorrow. Kana'i Mauga to the active roster, Curtis Bolton to the reserve injured list, Chandler Jones, hasta la vista, Tyler Hall, Malik Reed, both promoted to the practice squad, or both promoted from the practice squad. It's going to be an interesting game. I know the Raiders are 1-2, and I know the nation doesn't really believe right now, but we will have a home game tomorrow at SoFi Stadium. And if you can get back to 2-2, your next few games are very winnable. The Packers are beatable, the New England Patriots are beatable, and then the Chicago Bears are beatable. And I get it. It's a long season ahead, but there's a lot of very winnable games because of the way that the Raiders season shook out. All it takes is to get that wave going a little bit, and I'm hoping they get that wave going up against the Chargers because I don't believe in tanking, and I definitely don't want to lose to the Chargers. Peace out to everyone. Hopefully we see Aidan O'Connell slinging it tomorrow.